All characters in the story are over 18 years old. The sun was beating down mercilessly, casting the bedroom in golden light. I lay on my bed, aimlessly scrolling through my social media feed, thinking absent-mindedly about Mark. He was supposed to arrive today, my older brother, my pride, my almost unattainable ideal. 2 years of age difference seemed like an abyss separating me from his adult, interesting college life. The front door slammed downstairs. My heart sped up. Mark! I jumped out of bed, nearly tripping over my things on the floor, and rushed downstairs. Mark! I shouted as I ran down the stairs. He was standing in the hallway, towering over the suitcases, smiling. So familiar, so different. Tanned, fit, with a new, slightly ironic crease at the corner of his lips. There was a depth in his eyes that hadn't been there before. Hi, little one. He opened his arms for a hug, and I threw myself around his neck. How you've grown. You're a grown-up girl. His words echoed warmly inside me. A grown-up girl. I wanted him to see me like that. Not the little sister he used to braid pigtails and tell bedtime stories to, but something more. You're even more handsome now, I whispered, lingering in his arms longer than I should have. He squeezed me a little tighter, then pulled away, squinting at me. Are you blushing? He grinned. It's hot, I mumbled, averting my gaze. My cheeks burned. Mom and Dad are away at the cottage, and they won't be back until tomorrow night, I told him as I helped him carry the suitcases into the living room. They said to make you feel at home. Home. He stretched out the words, looking around the living room as if trying to see something new, something he hadn't noticed before. His gaze slid down my figure, lingering for a moment on the neckline of my tank top. I felt the heat wave through my body again. Yeah, I shrugged, trying to keep my voice calm. Shall we watch a movie or listen to some music? Why don't we just talk, he offered, sitting down on the couch and gesturing for me to sit next to him. I cautiously sat down on the edge of the couch, leaving space between us. Something fluttered in my chest, like a bird hitting the bars of a cage. What's wrong with me? Why am I reacting this way to him? It's Mark, my brother. The evening dragged on at an unusually slow pace. We talked about college, about friends, about future plans. Mark told me about his life, full of new impressions and acquaintances, and I listened, holding my breath, catching every word, every look. At some point I caught myself that I no longer perceived him as a brother. There was a man in front of me, interesting, attractive, dangerous. Anya. He paused suddenly, as if he'd just noticed something important. You have such beautiful eyes. His voice sounded hoarse, low. He leaned closer, and I felt his breath on my neck. Inside, everything turned upside down. I froze, unable to move or say a word. Mark and I had always been not just brother and sister, but true friends, bound by an invisible but strong thread. Despite the 2 years difference, which in my childhood seemed like a huge gap, we spent all our free time together. He was my protector, my stone wall, shielding me from all my childhood fears and offenses. I am his shadow, adoring him, catching his every word, imitating his every gesture. Mark, tell me more about the pirates, I whimpered, grabbing his pant leg. He sighed, but invariably relented, sitting me on his lap and launching into another exciting tale of sea adventure. I listened with bated breath, imagining myself as a brave pirate, sailing the oceans alongside my brother. And I'll be your first mate, I proudly proclaimed as the story came to an end. He would laugh, rub my head, and say, Of course you will, little one. Where would I be without you? That shallow always hurt a little, but I forgave him everything. After all, he was my hero, my ideal. When Mark left to study, the world seemed to lose its colors. The house became empty and lifeless. I missed his thundering music, his infectious laughter, even his admonitions, which used to be so annoying. Mom, when is Mark coming back? I asked almost every day. Soon, daughter. Be patient, Mom answered, hugging me. We called and texted, but it was a pale semblance of our previous communication. I missed his physical presence, his warmth, his energy that always filled the house. And then, finally, he came back. But everything was different. Not only had he changed, matured, become more serious and thoughtful, but I was no longer the little girl who chased after him. Anya, you look so much better, he said when he saw me. His words caused me a strange mixture of embarrassment and joy. I suddenly realized that he was looking at me not as a little sister, but as a girl. The way his gaze slid over my figure gave me a thrill I'd never felt before. There was always an atmosphere of love and understanding in our family. Mom and Dad, though busy with work, tried to give Mark and me enough attention. Dad, strict and not very verbal, was an unquestionable authority for us. Mom, soft and caring, created coziness and warmth in the house. We rarely quarreled, and if there were any conflicts, they were quickly forgotten. "Children, you are the best," my mother often said, hugging both of us. But behind this idol, there was a secret that I discovered by chance a few months ago. While sorting through old photos, I came across a letter addressed to my mom. A strange man wrote about his love and the son he longed to see. The date on the letter matched the year Mark was born. I felt like I'd been splashed with ice water. Was Mark not my parents' own son? I didn't tell anyone about my discovery for fear of destroying the delicate balance of our family. But the mystery was like a worm eating away at my insides. Now, sitting next to Mark on the couch, feeling his proximity, I realized that this mystery was just the tip of the iceberg. Something more complex and intricate was beginning to unfold in my life, intertwining love and mystery, desire and fear, choice and fate. And this story, I felt, would change us forever. The tension between us was building by the minute. We sat side by side, but it was as if an invisible electric current was passing between us. I could feel his gaze on me, heavy, penetrating. I tried to focus on the conversation, but my thoughts were jumbled, and only one phrase kept pounding in my head: "He's not my brother." The thought was both frightening and strangely liberating. It removed inhibitions, erased boundaries. I caught myself responding to his gaze, searching for him with my lips. Everything was burning inside, demanding something more than brotherly intimacy. "Anya, you're not the way I remembered you," he whispered, leaning toward me. His voice was hoarse, like he was struggling to contain himself. "How do you remember me?" I asked, barely moving my lips. "Small, funny, pigtailed," he grinned, running his fingers through my hair. "And now, you're incredible." His touch burned my skin. I flinched, but I didn't pull away. On the contrary, I wanted him to touch me again, closer. "Mark," I whispered his name, putting all my unspoken feelings into it. He leaned in sharply and kissed me. It wasn't a brotherly kiss, passionate, greedy, demanding a response. I closed my eyes, letting myself drown in this ocean of new, uncharted sensations. His hands slid down my body, igniting the flames of desire. I responded to his caresses, falling greedily into his lips. At that moment, there was no brother, no sister, no inhibitions. There was only man and woman, united by an irresistible passion. We moved into my bedroom without breaking the kiss. Clothes flew to the floor like unnecessary shackles. His body was hot, muscular, alluring. I stared at him eagerly, noticing every detail, every curve. "You're so beautiful," he whispered, running his hand over my chest. "I've waited so long for this." His words sent a sweet shiver through me. I wrapped my arms around him, pressing my whole body against him. I wanted to feel his closeness, his warmth, his strength. "Mark," I moaned his name as he came inside me. The pain was quickly replaced by a wave of pleasure that swept over me. I moaned his name, clinging to his back as if afraid of drowning in this whirlwind of sensation. We loved each other to the point of exhaustion, surrendering to the passion without abandon. At that moment, we were one, a fusion of two souls, two bodies, two destinies. The mystery of our origins no longer mattered. Only love remained, pure, sincere, forbidden. After the passions subsided, we lay in each other's arms, silently listening to the beating of our hearts. A wave of emotions came over me: happiness, fear, confusion. I didn't know what would happen next, but I realized that this day changed our lives forever. "Mark," I whispered, pulling myself even closer to him, "what are we going to do now?" He kissed the top of my head and hugged me tighter. "I don't know, Anya," he answered, "but I do know one thing. I don't want to lose you. What do you think about this story? What would you do if you were the heroes? Share your thoughts in the comments.